Well, hello, my name is Mara and welcome to Books Like Whoa. So I've got a tag for you guys today, and it's one, so I've done a lot of pre-planning for this channel pretty much through the end of the year, which is part of why, but then I keep getting like random things that will come up that I want to do, which is why you guys are getting a lot of videos from me, and I guess that's just how it is. I'm sorry if it's too much, but like, this is just how it goes. So one of the things that has been happening is that I have been getting tagged a lot by the creators of tags, and whenever I can, and I can like remember and write it down and everything, I like to try to do that. So this is the first of 3 tags that I've been tagged by the creator to do recently. And I definitely wanted to do this one because PBS, who created the Who I Am tag that's been going around, actually emailed me directly and was like, hey, like, we know that you make these and yada yada yada. And I just thought it was really cool that PBS is directly trying to engage booktubers. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna make some time to do this just because I wanna like support their efforts to engage people in a different way. All around the Great American Read, which I haven't really been participating in, but I know it's been a big thing and I think it's helped sell a lot of books this summer, which I think is great, and getting a lot of people reading. So I'm gonna do this pretty quick, but I wanted to do the Who Am I tag that was started by PBS, so let's get into this. Okay, the first question is, if your life were a book genre, what would it be? Aspirationally, I would want it to be a romance because romance is like part of the genre is that everything ends happily. So that's what I would like it to be. What is it actually? I mean, I don't know. I think it's maybe like literary fiction. That's the closest thing to just sort of like normal day-to-day, like just living life. Nonfiction? I don't know. Narrative nonfiction, I guess, because I'm also somebody who really likes, you know, reading a lot and discussing boring facts with people. So maybe narrative nonfiction would be a good idea. Question 2, what villain from a book do you identify with the most? Ooh, you know, in terms of like weaknesses that I have and like where I could, like if I allowed this part of me to take over, I could go down a bad path, would be the pink nightmare from the 5th book in Harry Potter. What's her face? Dolores Umbridge, that nightmare. Because I'm a rule follower at my heart, and I think that like luckily I have other parts of my personality that can balance that out, but I think part of what is so horrifying about Dolores Umbridge is that she's essentially like bureaucracy taken to an extreme, and like this idea of like rule following and like these people belong here, these people belong here, black and white. Like I think that she's sort of the extreme version of that. And you know, I am a Virgo moon, so I guess that makes sense that that is a weakness of mine. Obviously, right? Number 3 is, what protagonist are you most similar to? Whew, that is quite a question. I mean, in terms of who I aspire to be Kate Daniels because she is smart. Both like she has studied a lot, you know, like she's an encyclopedia of mythology basically, but also she's street smart. She is very loyal. She has a real sense of honor about her, and she cares a lot about the people around her, and she's not afraid to do what she has to do to protect them. So that would be who I would like to be. Those are the traits I aspire to. Now, whether or not I achieve that on a daily basis, I can't say, and I guess I'm not that great with a sword, so I guess we're not perfectly aligned there, but you know, maybe I'll pick up some blood magic someday and be in business. Number 4 is, which book did you connect with in the past that you no longer do? Ooh, that's an interesting question. I'm coming up with this on the fly if you can't tell. I would say, you know, I grew up really conservative religiously. I've talked about this some in the past, but anyway, my parents are not that conservative, but I went to a fundamentalist high school, so I'm a weird mix of like ideas and kind of origin stories. I would say that there's a lot of that kind of like nonfiction, devotional, or like lay theology stuff that I like repudiate basically at this point. I think a lot of it's really, really toxic and really like not grounded in history, not grounded in good exegesis, just like all around not good, basically, in my opinion. I don't want to get into too many title calling out here because I don't know, that would just be, I think, unkind. But yeah, a lot of that I find to be pretty noxious at this point. Number 5, what recent book read would you love to be a character in? Ooh, that's an interesting... Well, I mean, it's always kind of whenever you think about, like, I want to be in this world, like, again, my kind of gut reaction is like, I want to be in Kate Daniels' world, but, like, it's also super hardcore and pretty scary, so, like, would I really want to be in that world? I don't know that I would. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of a romance I've read recently, like just a really light one, that would be good. Oh, I've not gotten to read it yet, but I've been enjoying, I love Tessa Dare's version of historical romances. They're very light. They have kind of a feminist sensibility about them, and it sort of like is a narrative way to correct some of the wrongs of that time. So like the world of like the Duchess deal / the Governess game is the one that just came out. I like that whole kind of vibe. It seems very, like a version of history that I would have actually enjoyed versus like the reality of it. Number 6 is, how do your reading habits show off your personality? That's a great question. I would say, well, I'm an omnivore for one, and I think that that is because like I'm just a very curious person in general. Like I'm a nosy bitch, sort of, but also like I just am curious about people. Like I'm fascinated by people. I like meeting people just because I'm interested by them, and I'm interested in like the world. And I don't know, I think when people know what a big bookworm I am, and I think it kind of always surprises them to hear that I'm like in business and like in IT and that my degree is in accounting, but then I also have a master's of theology. Like it's like a whole melange of interests. So I think that that definitely is reflective because I'm just like interested in pretty much everything. And then in terms of like how I read, I'm somebody who is very like, when I'm into something, I'm into it. So the fact that like, for instance, I tend to read books in one sitting because I tend to like dive in and like glom it down. I like to binge read series, and I read a lot. So, I mean, I think that that's also indicative of my personality. I have a very sort of like passionate personality and a very like wholehearted or focused approach to life in general. Okay, and 6, what book taught you something about yourself? Ooh, I mean, hopefully every book you read, you learn a little bit about yourself. In terms of books that I've read, let's say in like the last month, that I think I just learned a lot about the world around me, and therefore like some of the underlying ideas that I maybe didn't even know I had, or like assumptions that I didn't even realize I was making and kind of was confrontational to me in that. I would say The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein, which is about essentially how Black people have been systematically shut out of housing markets by the government. Like the government was the driver of those policies since the Great Depression. That I think was really interesting and kind of like very formative to me in certain ways I think about economics and race. And then Stamped from the Beginning by Ibram X. Kendi, I believe is the author's name. Whew, that is a brutal read, but like an essential one, and really kind of walks through the history of where racist idea towards Black people have come from. So I would say both of those were very, like they taught me, I think, about kind of the macro systems that I'm a part of. And, you know, I think that that's really healthy. It doesn't have to be about making someone feel bad or like, I don't know, people get really defensive talking about ways in which they are a part of a group that is like an overclass or an overgroup, and I don't think it has to be that way. Like I can acknowledge that I have a ton of privilege because I'm a white person, and I don't need to feel personally like attacked by that. And I think both of those books don't, like, I didn't feel personally attacked by them. I felt confronted and like challenged to really think about the ways in which I have privilege that I'm not even like, that's not even on my radar. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, both of those were just really good books, and I think merited a lot of kind of like self-reflection, which I think is for the good. Okay, so that is the Who Am I tag. Thank you again to PBS for reaching out to me directly to ask me to do this. Again, I love that they are trying to like engage with different kinds of like new media. Yeah, that just made me happy. So yeah, if you have not done this tag yet, you definitely should. I'll have some links and stuff for the Great American Read and all the questions and whatnot in the description box, so feel free to check that out too. But yeah, I think that will do it. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below. And I think that will do it. I hope you guys are having a really lovely day, and I will just talk to you soon.